One, we've got the host of The Guy Benson Show on Fox News Radio, townhall.com, political editor. Guy Benson is here. And he's joined by the host of The Richard Fowler Show and also a Fox News contributor. It is Richard Fowler. Hi, Richard.
Hey.
And civil rights attorney Brooke Goldstein rounding things out. Welcome, everyone.
Good to be here.
Yay. So everyone's calling for Tom Perez's head. And when I say everyone, I mean...
You.
Well, me, AOC, and Marcia Fudge. The three
That's
amigas.
three.
Yeah.
Y'all have a new squad.
Yeah, that is a new squad. That'd be a good time. So does Tom Perez survive the Iowa meltdown?
He should. He's doing a great job. I think his party's stronger than ever, and he should stay right where he is. Stay put. The only one doing a better job is the chairman of the party of Iowa, the Democratic Party of Iowa,
nice.
who today was giving a press conference, and the sign fell off the podium. The Iowa Democrats' little logo fell.
Well, they had to use all the tape to stick the results together and slip them in the mail.
I feel like a lot of Democrats might be praying just to slightly reroute the asteroid to Iowa, right, instead of New Hampshire, even though the poll was out of New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Look, it's a complete mess, and the more I read, I've sort of gone down the rabbit hole on this one, and all these hardcore data nerds are saying, but this is a mistake, and this has been counted twice, and this one was done wrong. I don't think we're actually ever going to truly know who won.
I think that's the point of Iowa, isn't it?
That's the point why Iowa should not be the first primary, first caucus for Democrats, right? I mean, here's the truth of the matter. We are a big party 10, and Iowa is a very small sliver of that party. There were so many other states that would have been better choices.
That's how Tom Perez got to be head of the DNC.
The Iowa caucus?
Yes, he promised to keep Iowa first, and that's how he...
Yeah, I was around for that.
I
was around for that election. I think there was other things at play. I think he was clearly the former president's choice, which sort of helped him get elected to be the party chair. I think with
no one else seems to be the former president's choice. Wouldn't that be helpful
for
him to break the tie?
Yes and no, but speaking about Barack Obama, I think the president, he's the leader of the party. He's the functional de facto leader, and so he's going to wait.
Because everyone else has imploded.
Well, because he was the former president of the United States, right? And he was a very popular Democratic president. He was liked by the base, admired by one of the top most admired people in the world. And so he's going to sit this one out a little bit and wait to see where this primary looks in May, June, July. I think right now, if you talk to Democrats, they would say our number one goal, beyond trying to get struck by a meteor, is to beat Donald Trump. And I think the reason why there's so much influx in the field is because every candidate has a different theory of the case. And a lot of Democratic voters have different theories of the case.
I just like the look on Brooke's face.
I'm just so shocked when I, read polls like that. It's amazing to me. Just put a good candidate forward. The beauty of our democracy is every 4 years, power changes without, a shot being fired. Put a candidate forward. And what's so shocking to me also about Iowa is that the Democrats have seemed to make this PR move. Okay, forget it. Let's just move on to New Hampshire. This is the party of, who always complains about disenfranchisement, who's all about the popular vote. Every vote counts. And now,
but you have a guy flipping a coin, and when he puts the coin on his hand, he looks at it and flips it again, and then turns it to the side he wants and goes, it's heads. It's
a totally delegitimized process. And then we remember
they clearly know about disfranchised voting since they run a
last
caucus state
time
like
when
that.
Bernie Sanders was at the lead, they had to give it to Hillary Clinton, and now he's in the lead again in New Hampshire. What are they going to do to elevate Bloomberg? Are they going to elevate Biden?
When is President Obama said he was going to come out and campaign against Bernie if he really got some traction. Is it going to be too little too late if he wins big in New Hampshire?
I think this primary is very early. So far, we've had one state. We've only given out 41 delegates. But wait a minute. No, wait a minute.
Still very early.
We've given out 41 delegates. To be the nominee of the Democratic Party, you need 2,000 delegates. We have a lot more delegates to go. This race is still early. As I think the good point that Kristen Soltis-Anderson brought up in the segment previous is this. For Pete Buttigieg and for Bernie Sanders.
Who do you like between them?
I don't have any.
Come on, man, pick a side.
But for either of these candidates, they're going to have to go to South Carolina.
That's the problem. You and President Obama and a bunch of other Democrats like, whoa, I don't know.
No, I think I'm watching. I'm an undecided Democrat watching this field.
But if we lose, let's all be struck dead immediately.
I'm not saying I don't want to
like kids in cages is an outrage.
Yeah.
Eff it, just bring in the asteroid.
We should do? Let's paralyze the Senate for a sham trial. That'll do it. That'll get him out of harm's way.
Look,
Wait until April comes. Coronavirus will be dead.
The truth of the matter is, Kennedy, here is this. Like I said, it's early in this state for Bernie and for Buttigieg. When they get to South Carolina, when they get to Nevada, they're going to have to deal with a more diverse electorate. And how well will they do in
And I don't know if Joe Biden should pin all of his hopes on that, because guess what? No matter what color voters are in any state, they look at someone who is losing momentum and they go, I don't know if I like that guy so much.
What I will say about
you know what? Maybe these people, maybe they know something I don't know, so I'm not going to just put all of my eggs in Joe's basket because he touched my clavicles.
I would say that I think in the Biden campaign's case, they made a tactical error. After Iowa, they should have immediately I would have skipped New Hampshire altogether and went to South Carolina. That's where he's the strongest. That's where he has the most basic support.
He has no money.
And so why not spend all that money and all those resources in South Carolina?
Bernie raised $750 million in the last week of January. Joe Biden has 14,000. That's it. That's all he's got. Those numbers might be slightly
$750 million in a week.
That's
very impressive.
Very impressive.
That's like Bloomberg numbers.
Yeah, that's right.
When he goes to his checking account.
That's absolutely right. The party panel returns in just a little bit, but first up, we do have to talk about coronavirus. Getting worse by the day. Do you have your mask? Steve Hilton, the Uyghurs, huh? No drug problem, but they're throwing all of them into prison to die. So who has the better solution, Mayor Pete or President Trump? Let me answer that for you. Mayor Pete. The party panel has returned. Guy Benson, Richard Fowler, and Brooke Goldstein. So on one hand, the president praises his criminal justice push and the push for reform by highlighting Alice Johnson in that wonderful Super Bowl ad. And now he's back to, aren't these guys great for killing drug dealers?
Yeah, that's why this is the problem with this president, right? You're never sure what side of the issue he's actually on. I think Pete makes up a very, and the thing that makes his Pete argument so salient for me is that we live in a world where our newest cases of drug addiction happen by illegal substance, right? It's not an illegal drug that's causing to kill folks. It's opioids that was condoned by the government.
And in the debate. Yeah, these are lawful substances that have killed a lot of people.
That's having the most harm, and I think you're right to point that the war on drugs was a failed war on drugs that impacted black and brown communities the worst, and we still have a drug problem after 40 years of having this war on drugs. Yeah. Clearly this war wasn't effective. Shaming people doesn't decrease their appetite for substances and mind alteration. Am I all for it? No, I'm not all for a lot of things.
I have to disagree. I'm sorry. I'm going to take heat from it. But I think, obviously, the war on drugs didn't work. But decriminalizing everything, even hard drugs and meth and heroin.
Not everything is possession.
No, I don't think he was clear about that. And I think that's where
he said possession several times.
He said it, but his website is not clear. He talks about, again, decriminalization. And there's everything from, possession for your personal use to possession of a massive amount intended for trafficking and selling to minors. And I think it's totally irresponsible to take that type of position when you don't have legal markets. Clarity.
When you don't have legal markets, what do you have a proliferation of? Black markets where people sell drugs to kids and they don't know what's in them and they put them in their bodies and they smoke illegal THC.
So let's decriminalize the selling of these type of drugs to kids as opposed to engage in some sort of
I will go one step further.
Reform and have the penalties.
Well, Let's legalize drugs so you know what you're putting in your body.
Lots of drugs are legal.
Let's mandate all of them.
No, but you know there's a difference between legalize and condoning or requiring.
I just cannot believe that you, Kennedy, are expecting me to sit here and pontificate about drug policy when you just a moment ago said to the world in a shocking blow to me that Mayor Pete is now your sexy gay boyfriend and I'm supposed to just sit here and take it. It took every ounce of professionalism not to burst into tears and march out of this studio. And yet I will be a professional and I will respond to Richard's point in defense of the president on this point. Sometimes President Trump will go off and say all sorts of things and you say it's unclear where he stands on a particular issue. Fair enough. But on criminal justice reform, I think it is fair to ascribe to him the views of the law that he actually signed into existence, right? He can say this or tweet that. He signed criminal justice reform into law, and I think that probably outweighs an outburst
But
here or there.
if he had his way, and I don't think this is set policy. I think, it's almost like investigating the Bidens. He indulges in these lines of thinking, but doesn't necessarily enact them.
Well,
if this were reality and he had his way, Alice Johnson would have been executed.
Well, I don't know about that, but
That's what he just said.
I don't think that
That's what he literally just
it's
said.
not actually his way, though, right? I think
This is part of the problem with this
I don't think
president,
that's
guy. Like,
actual
you
way.
can't, when you're the president of the United States, the leader of the free world, you can't do one thing and say something else and say, well, don't listen to what I say, just watch what I do. That doesn't work when you're the president.
I think, well, it's been working okay for him on some fronts for 3 years.
Because it's a walking contradiction.
I agree that he
I'm
contradicts
sure
himself
he will,
sometimes.
He will walk and chew gum uncontradictorily in his second term. And then
he has
we'll meet the media.
all sorts of illiberal impulses, but he's generally
Speaking of illiberal impulses, well said, and what a bridge to Utah. Senator Mitt Romney said he expected, quote, unimaginable consequences as a result of his vote last week to remove the president from office. It appears he's right. The chairman of the Conservative Political Action Conference, also known as CPAC, suggested yesterday that the GOP disdain is so intense for Romney that a lot of bad things are going to happen. Matt Schlapp, he said, quote, here I am reading his words. We won't credential him as a conservative. I suppose if he wants to come as a non-conservative and debate an issue with us, maybe in the future we would have him come. This year, I would actually be afraid for his physical safety. People are so mad at him, end quote. Schlapp tweeted today that he wishes Romney no harm. But is this just another sign of how destructive our political climate is right now? Brooke.
So when I actually first read the headline, I was thinking of when the truck was being driven into the GOP tent, and I thought there was actual threat on Romney's life. And then I read the quote, and I think obviously it's wrong what Matt said. Number one, Romney should not have been disinvited to the conference. The whole point is to approach your constituents and debate it out. Again, free speech and democracy.
Yeah, air some things
and
out.
I also don't believe in blind party allegiance. And I think it was, even though I disagree with Romney, it was his conscience, and let him go and defend it at the CPAC conference. And Matt should have been a little bit more careful with what he was saying.
And if anyone should be guaranteeing someone's safety who goes to the event, by the way, if Mitt Romney went, it would be a massive media event. It should be Matt Schlapp. He should say, I'm the guy in charge. I will make sure not a hair on his perfectly coiffed head is harmed.
You can't control security at your own conference. That's telling. With that being said, I think this goes to a larger point that I think the Republican Party has. For years, the Republican Party would say over and over and over again, well, we're a party where we have diversity of ideas. And clearly, based upon how they're acting to Mitt Romney's diversity and ideas, they're not that party. And to sit here...
Only there's the Democrat Party. Have you seen the top five in New Hampshire?
No, but he's not the only... I mean, the president of the United States attacked it. He had a whole pity party where he attacked Mitt Romney. And I think to be very clear about this is where Mitt Romney is not a rhino. He was a Republican nominee, right? Mitt Romney votes with the president almost 90% of the time. Mitt Romney was somebody who people had Romney signs and Romney T-shirts on.
I had no
to sit here now and to say that he's no longer... No, I'm just pointing out the hypocrisy in the Republican Party.
Yeah, he used to give people cancer and torture dogs and all these horrible things.
I'm not saying I voted for him.
And then he had binders full of women.
I proudly voted for Mitt Romney.
But now Richard Fowler wants to hear from Mitt Romney, and Brad Pitt's in love with John Bolton. What is happening in the world, guys?
It's all, I hear Bolton's a tool of the left, according to some. It's all scrambled and weird. Look, I hope Matt was joking about the security issue, because someone who's invited to a conference should, of course, be able to show up and not feel physically threatened by anyone. I also feel like the purpose of gatherings that call themselves conservative should not decide the bellwether of what counts as conservative based on fealty to one person. Right? Conservatism is a set of ideas, and sometimes those lead people to different conclusions politically.
Sure.
I disagree with Romney's ultimate vote. I think some of the reasons that he gave in his speech were valid, but to make this where, and this has become, I think, a broader problem among conservatives, where defending Trump is the litmus test of conservatism, to me, it just makes no sense.
Well, especially when they had a very strong reaction against the president at CPAC in 2015.
Right.
He had some supporters that were very excited, but he had a lot of people within the party who were doing whatever they could in the early winter of 2015 to make sure that he wasn't the nominee. Oh boy, did that blow up in their
How
face.
quickly Gucci's changed colors.
It wasn't about
quickly
Trump, too.
Gucci's changed
It was
colors.
about the process of impeachment, and I think it's gotten broader than that as a constitutional issue.
Well, now
So
we
maybe
can
that's
impeach
what
everybody.
justified
Everyone,
Matt.
Kavanaugh's next. If Mitt Romney has his way, he's done. I want to thank you guys so much for being here.
Thank you.
Brooke, Richard, Guy, what a night. What a guy. So mad still.
Sexy gay boyfriend, Pete Buttigieg. Get out of here.
I'll buy you some whiskey and you can get over it.
Thank you. I'm going to cry on your shoulder.
Well, a good Monday night coming. All right, coming up, a new poll